I as a child would like to know what is it I can do, and how do I use that knowledge, how do I use that knowing to move forward. This is a myth that is going around, that HPC increase the workload. Not at all. Rather, it shifts the entire agency on the child, on the student.
Hello everyone. AI can now write our essays for us, solve our maths problem, and even pass our exams. That means the traditional testing systems are measuring what the machines can do. The rise of AI has made it very clear that our assessment systems must evolve. In India, this transformation is already underway through Parak and the Holistic Progress Card. Today, we are exploring this transformation. Joining me is the person who is at the center of this transformation, Professor Indrani Bhaduri, CEO and head of Parak. Dr. Indrani, welcome to the Learning Circle.
Thank you so much, Kavleen, and it's always a pleasure to have a dialogue with you.
Thank you, ma'am. What are we missing in the traditional assessment systems? Everybody knows that, marks are not the real measurement of learning. So, from your vantage point, if we rely only on marks for measurement of learning, what are we really missing here?
Right. So the primary missing elements, when only we consider marks, the first thing is we are missing on the understanding of the constructs by the child. Traditional marks, they often just measure a student's ability to memorize the subject material and kind of regenerate it during the exam. So it is not their understanding of the underlying constructs or ability to apply knowledge in real life. Second, we are missing out on the understanding of the holistic development of the child. Real learning extends beyond the academic subject. That's the holistic progress card, the HPCs, that aims to capture a child's growth across the cognitive, emotional, creative, physical, and the socio-ethical domain, which are entirely absent in a simple numerical mark. The third is the essential 21st century skills. Marks fail to evaluate the critical skills like the critical thinking, problem solving, creativity, your digital fluency, and the ethics, especially when you are using artificial intelligence, which are very crucial for success in the modern world. Marks, they do not give a contextual feedback. It does not tell me anything about who the learner is. Marks offer no meaningful descriptive feedback to the child why and how they are being assessed and how they can improve. What is it that they need to improve upon? The fact that empowers students to be, most importantly, marks, they do not address the equity concerns. You know that there are different boards, state boards in the country. In India, we have more than 66 school boards. Different boards have inconsistent marking schemes and assessment design, leading to evaluation disparities and undermining equity. So, a focus on marks alone makes it very difficult to establish a uniform standard across the country, which Parak is aiming to fix with the equivalence of its boards.
So, there is a strong case for moving away from marks based learning. So, I hope in your working you see that transformation happening, people accepting that yes, marks are not the only criteria.
Yes, people are, now, but then it has not come overnight. We have been working continuously since NEP 2020 was, the National Education Policy 2020 was released, and it talked about the 360-degree assessment. So we have been working continuously with the system for improvement of the system, and but of course change is happening. I can see those changes happening.
Oh, that's wonderful to know. And, ma'am, what first drew you into this world of assessment and measurements?
I think that what drew me first in this world of measurement was the concern for equity. That's really a very essential criteria, and the second is inclusivity. These equity and inclusivity are the two main essential components which kind of motivates me to kind of work more in this area, in the area of assessment.
Ma'am, AI has really changed the way students need to learn. So, from your perspective, has AI accelerated the urgency to move away from marks based systems?
Definitely, artificial intelligence tools have made kind of what Marx promote, that is the rote memorization. It has made it obsolete. In the age of AI, intelligent machines can instantaneously access, process, and generate information such as writing an essay or analyzing data that traditionally required human intervention. But now generative AI can do it in a split of second. So this shift mandates a paradigm change in education and in assessment as well. So from students, they it was all about what you know, but
Hmm.
now the shift is from what you know to what you know and can do with what you know. So how does the knowledge helps you to do certain things? That is what is important. And since AI can handle information like recall, the valuable human skills are no longer, the routine task, but it is the higher order cognitive functions. So assessment also now need to capture a student's ability to apply the knowledge, think critically, solve complex problem, and be creative. Again, the focus has shifted from rote memorization to competencies, and that the national education policy is all about how competencies can be developed at the different pedagogical stages of education. And Parak emphasizes a shift to for this competency based assessment that measure the real world skills, ethics, and emotional intelligence rather than a entire rote memorization based assessment.
Right. And previously also you mentioned that one of the things that we should do in transformation of assessment is development of 21st century skills. And again, critical thinking, creativity, they are all necessitated by the rise of AI because that is what differentiates us. And I think globally also a lot of countries are working in transforming their assessment systems. Singapore, Australia, Finland, they are all working towards that in different ways. So, what practices, in your opinion, India should adopt from these countries, and what are the areas that we should avoid?
Okay, so my entire philosophy is that for India, we need to look at its context and develop our own rather than copy paste, foreign philosophy. So at Parak, we believe in a phased approach for assessment reform. We need to build the system first. That is the basic requirement to access. So once the system is built, the system will accept, assimilate, and accommodate the change rather than we do a immediate or a sweeping and a radical change. Okay, I have been talking right from the beginning, Shanai Shanai. We need to do it slowly. So radical changes and especially in education does not work. You mentioned about Singapore. Singapore's approach is also similar. They also look at, in a phased manner, they are kind of incorporating the changes, especially in their teacher training and infrastructure, aligning them before scaling. So in India, the focus is on incrementally integrating competency based assessment. That is our holistic progress card, allowing time for the vast complex system of the school boards. Like I said before, that we have 66 school boards to adopt and build capacity at every level. This it did not begin yesterday. We have been working consistently with the state functionaries, the SCRT, the state boards, the diets, the entire machinery in this, state system. You do understand that we have a federal system in education in India, and we the education is in the concurrent list. So we started our this journey after the national education policy 2020 came in, and we have been collaborating with the states. One of the downside that I see is in the implementation of the policy, and that is because of the primarily the lack of the system to get engaged. And also we in India, we have a diverse regional context, so we need to ensure a robust capacity building for our teachers. We have around 10 million teachers, that is 100 lakhs teachers. And the way at present we are doing with our teacher training, that needs to change. We cannot go about the way we have been doing all these years, especially the teacher training. It has to be done on site. The on site support we need to give to the teachers for them to kind of use the knowledge that have been given to them.
Cause, and we'll go deeper into this later, but first a quick request to our audience that if conversations like these prompt you to rethink about learning and education, do consider subscribing to the Learning Circle. Your support really helps in the work that we are doing. And now moving forward, at the beginning you talked about creating a system and doing it incrementally. So what is this system that you are talking about? I understand it would include the state, it would include the teachers. So what are all the components of the system?
So, Kavleen, it's a team that we build in. I work on, collaboration. It cannot be a top-down approach. If I develop something and give it to the states or the teachers to, follow, it will never work, because that ownership would not be there. So what happens, what the way I work is that, whenever, for example, let me give the example of the holistic progress card. When it was there in the national education policy 2020, we went to the states and we asked them that this is what we need to develop: a 360-degree holistic progress card. Now you tell me what is it that you want to see, right? And then, like, they told us that this is what we would like to see. We came back, we had dialogues with other experts, right? And then we again went back to the states and said that, this is what we have prepared, what Parak has prepared from your inputs. What do you think is still missing in it? What would you like to add on? So, this give and take. So then what happened is that a ownership has been built in
Correct.
the system,
Mm.
and that is where the acceptance has started taking place.
That's wonderful to know, because they are the ones who are actually going to go forward and implement the findings also. So getting buy-in from them from the word go is a wonderful approach there. And India has something very rare, and that is national data at scale. So 21 lakh children were assessed as part of the Parak Rashtriya Sarvekshan PRS 2024. I think I have got the number right. So that is tremendous. And from the data which was collected, what are the major insights here?
Yeah, we did the Parak Rashtriya Sarvekshan on 4th of December 2021, and we assess, right, what you said was right. We did assess 2.1 million students on one single day, and we wanted to assess the understanding at the end of the foundation, at the end of the preparatory, and at the end of the middle. And this we did for end of foundation we assessed in grade 3, end of middle we assessed in grade 6, and end of middle we assessed in grade 9. So the most striking pattern, if you ask me, is we see is that while grade 3 students,
Hmm.
that is when I assess the foundational learning, they perform reasonably well in the foundational task. But what happens when we see the achievement of grade 6 students, we see that the students have difficulty to solve fractions. The grade 9 students, they find difficult to solve sums based on percentages. And this shows that the learning gaps are compounding over time. Right. So, another significant finding, which is, it's very different from what we would expect, is that the government schools, the state government schools, are doing much better than the private schools in
Very surprised.
grade 3, that is for the foundation. In many of the districts, that's what I the entire Parak uh, you know, uh, 2024 data, the dashboard, it's in the public domain. And I would request all those who are watching this podcast to kind of, just Google Parak Sarvekshan.
Yes.
So if you just write Parak 2024 dashboard, it will come to you, and you will see that all the 781 district, when we did the survey, we did it for 781, and at that time there were 782 district. We just missed one district in Tamil Nadu for floods. The rest we covered all of them. And if you see the data of what I because we have collected the data at a more granular level, at the district level, so we have the report cards for at the foundational level, at the preparatory level, and at the middle stage for all the 781 districts.
Wonderful.
And along with this, it's not about only the achievement score, but contextualizing those learning. So we have, because along with the achievement data, we also have three questionnaire. We have the PQ, SQ, TQ. So all the people questionnaire, the student questionnaire, and the teacher questionnaire, and the school questionnaire, these tell us that what is it, that the district needs to work on. We have a differentiated results in terms of gender, rural, urban, in terms of school management. Another, the most important, I think, feedback for the teacher training or the learnings is, we see that the mathematics, we need to make it stronger. At present, the learning of mathematics that is happening
Mm.
It's totally based on algorithms. And when NEP, that is the National Education Policy 2020, talks about development of competencies, if I teach a subject using algorithm, it's a very mechanical kind of thing, yeah, learning. We need to shift this learning to a most construct based approach, and especially in mathematics, so in the foundational, like we will be conducting the foundational learning study also, which is a more granular study which only talks about how students are performing in the different task in numeracy and literacy. There we try and understand whether the child is understanding the constructs in mathematics. It's not that I tell the child to kind of add 8 plus 3 or
Mm.
12 plus 24, or multiply 5 into 4. No, I try to understand whether the child is able to understand what numbers are, the decode numbers, whether the child is able to understand that multiplication is nothing but repeated addition, that division is nothing but repeatedly I am subtracting from the thing. So this understanding of the construct is very important.
Yes. So context and understanding of that is very critical. So, if a parent who is getting an HPC for the first time, how would you recommend they read that document? Because it is very different from the assessments that they are used to till date. So, how do they use this document, and what are the insights they should focus on, and what are the actions they should take based on those insights?
The holistic progress card, it kind of we are reducing a child's entire using marks, we are reducing a child's entire learning journey to a single narrow numerical value.
Mm.
So a holistic progress card kind of helps to solve this problem. So when for the parent, I would say that the key takeaway is that the holistic progress card, again, you would see that we have named it as the progress card. NEP 2020 is talking about documenting or evidencing the progress of the child, not reporting. We have made a shift from report card to progress card. So for the parents, I would like to say that HPC is not a new report card of score. It is a rich narrative feedback tool. Look beyond the academic sections to the teacher's comments. Look at the self assessment. Look at the what the peer has given input, and look on the soft skills like empathy, problem solving. Look at digital literacy of the child. It tells you how a child is developing as a complete individual and not just a number in a.
Right, that is so endearing to know. And I can almost, feel your passion about that a child is a holistic of person. And traditionally, we have just reduced his performance to a single number. And now with HPC, we are moving away from that. And it's a mindset shift, I would say. And your message to the parents is really critical, that take it as a narrative feedback, look at all these different sections, and not just the way when they got their report card as a child there was a single number, and now it is different, and now we are looking at the person, the child as a whole, having all these multiple abilities. And I think the parents would appreciate that much more than getting a single number. Of course, there it would take some time to shift away from that, but the transformation is already happening. When we come to the teachers, there is slight increase in workload, but there is opportunity of much a learning which is deeper, which is contextualized also. So how should teachers approach filling of the HPC so that it feels less like a paperwork but more like a continuation of their journey in imparting learning.
Actually, this is a myth that is going around that HPC, increase the workload. Not at all. Rather, it shifts the entire agency on the child, on the student. So it becomes actually the holistic progress card. It's more of I do not want that the teacher kind of sits at one place on one day and tick marks and fills in or write statements, big statements about the child on one fine day for all the 70 students. No, that is not the purpose. The entire, if you this is what the mindset that the people come up with. But then when we do the actual training with the teachers, when we actually make them in our workshop to kind of sit and understand the HPC, then they understand the worth of HPC.
Hmm.
HPC actually it is enabling a dialogue to happen between the teacher and the student.
Okay.
It is actually a, a tool to have conversation.
Hmm.
It is kind of giving you that the cues, so to say, for the conversations. So, this is what understanding needs to go. It is not something that I, as a teacher, need to sit down and fill. No, it has to be a engagement, a dialogue between the student and the teacher, the parent. By the parent, I am not looking at the actually the mother and father. I
Hmm.
want the community to be involved in the learning of the child. So, how the community participates, that is very important. That is what we are trying to get using the HPC.
I really love that HPC is a continuous dialogue. And you also pointed about, the word progress. So we always have this idea that the child is becoming, progressing more and more. It is not just, one final statement at the end of the year, but it is the growth of a child. And that is what education is all about. And now it is already in circulation. And I think parents and teachers are getting more used to it, and we are moving in the right direction. And going forward, what do you think in the next 5 year that we have to get right in terms of assessment, so that we maintain or even fasten this momentum that we have got now?
I think the first and foremost thing is we need to prioritize building a robust nationwide teacher capacity building program.
Hmm.
And as it's the most critical initiative, I think, teacher capacity, and we cannot do the way we are doing it. Calling teachers, we need to support them on site. Giving on site support to the teacher is very, very important. Creating a fair, meaningful, and future ready system, it is basically, we are equipping India's 10 million teachers with the expertise to design and implement competency based holistic assessment effectively. And it cannot be done overnight. Prioritization must also extend to developing a sustainable digital infrastructure.
Hmm.
So, we are also going about digitizing the HPC for data collection and analysis, and also for establishing a strong governance framework that mandate a kind of collaboration across the diverse groups that we have in India. Biggest obstacle, if you ask me, it would be in achieving the vision is the mindset change. It is not just the resources or the capacity. While I do understand that infrastructure is a challenge in some places, but the deeply ingrained cultural reliance on high stake memory based marks for this job prospects or for university admission. This creates a very immense resistance from parents, from students, from educators to change. So overcome decades of, this, I would like to term it as the, quote unquote, the Marx culture. It requires a kind of a sustained communication.
Hmm.
It requires commitment to using the new assessment tools that have been developed. And we need to also change, like, if I just say that at the school level we have kind of just changed the assessment at the school level or at the board examination level, that will be enough. No, we need to work out at the NEET. We need to change the CUET
Yes.
as well. So it cannot be a compartment kind of a thing. And, visible proof that holistic assessment leads to the better life outcome. This we need to, evidence it for people to see. And without kind of shifting this collective mindset, I think even the, this unless we are able to tackle the mindset changes, even the best of policies implementation will be difficult.
Right. And since you're talking about mindset shift, are we also planning to train the parents on this? Help them?
Of course, sensitization of the parents is very much required. As you know that the holistic progress card, we have developed it for the different stages. We one for the foundational, one for the preparatory, one for the middle, and one for the secondary. Right. So, in each of these stages, we have kind of, have involved the parents. We have involved the community to participate in the learning journey of the child. So through HPC, I'm not just, I say that HPC is holistic, not just that we have, added different things and kind of augmented it together. No, because it is a more organic thing that we have evolved, which has actual active participation from teachers, from parents, from students, from the community. So everybody kind of contributes to the learning of the child.
Right. And you also mentioned that, we would need evidence that this kind of holistic approach works better than what we have had traditionally. So I think there must be some system in place to measure that. But eventually, of course, that cannot be done in a year or two. It would take, few years to measure that kind of evidence. So is there a system that
Yes,
is
of course. Like I said, that states have already started implementing the holistic progress card at the foundational, and some of the states have also implemented at the preparatory and middle stages to understand the learning at the foundation stage, that whether the holistic card implementation has really helped. We will be administering the foundational learning study in 2026, and we will try to see that whether the use of holistic progress card has really helped in the development, the overall development of the child. So because these, of course, the foundational learning study, these are large scale studies which are done to monitor the system, to see whether the system is going in the right direction.
So we are, closing the entire loop from assessment to action. I would request from our audiences, the parents also, to see the dashboard, to see the HPC as a document which is measuring the holistic progress of a child. And like ma'am said, that mindset shift is required. And Dr. Indrani, can we move on to a quick rapid fire round?
Sure.
Okay.
Full.
One assessment myth you wish India would let go of.
Okay, it's not to understand what the students know, but to, what the students know and knows and can do, and to move forward with that.
Right.
So, most of the assessments, if you see, they kind of tell us what the student doesn't know. It's of no use, right? That these many students cannot do this.
Right.
So what? Now what?
Yes.
So rather than that, it needs to shift from what the students can do. I as a child would like to know what is it I can do, and
Hmm.
how do I use that knowledge? How do I use that knowing to move forward?
Right. And filling of the HPC by the child himself is gives that kind of agency.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Next question. In one sentence, what's the difference between testing knowledge and assessing competency?
It's competency is knowledge, skill, and attitude. So naturally, it is more holistic.
Yes.
In knowledge, we are just doing that what you understand, but in competency, it's actually using the knowledge to do something. It's
With the right
knowledge
attitude.
with the right attitude. Yes. So
Yes.
it's the knowledge, skill, and attitude.
Wonderful. Next question. One skill every child must develop in the AI age.
Yes, I think our beloved Prime Minister has been talking about coding.
Ah,
Prime Minister Modi ji has been talking about coding. To that, I would like to add coding and prompt engineering.
right. Yes.
With generative AI in place, we need to understand how do I give that prompt to the
Right.
system.
The
Yeah.
system, yes. And how to be able to use it effectively.
Yes, yes.
Next question. One practice teachers should stop doing.
Oh, yeah. If I had my, say, I would say stop doing F1, F2, S1, F3, F4, and S2. It's ridiculous. And stop filling up those forms. Stop it right away.
Right. Parak has given us very strong reason to the teachers to stop doing that. Very good.
Yeah, and do HPC instead.
Right. Next question. One question teachers ask you about HPC and your answer.
Yes, of course. Initially, before I begin the workshop, the question that they ask me is that, ma'am, it is so much, so many pages. How do I fill up?
Right.
So, and my question and my answer is pages we have given because we have written all the competencies in that HPC. In the foundational, for each of the competencies, the template has been replicated. The template of HPC is only very simple. We have the curricular goal. From the curricular goal, pick up a competency, and now with the digitization, it will be a drop down. So
Mhm.
select the curricular goal, which is already there in the National Curricular Framework for Foundation Stage and National Curricular Framework for School Education. Select the curricular goal, select the required competency, and from the competency, using the competency, devise an activity that helps you to assess the child in that competency, right? Develop the Write down the assessment questions and develop a 3 by 3 matrix
Okay.
to understand the performance of the child in the three abilities, that is awareness, sensitivity, and creativity. Whether the child is performing at the beginner's level, at the proficient level, proficient is the grade appropriate, or above grade appropriate, that is the advanced level. So it's a simple template. Like I said, curricular goals, competency, activity, assessment question, and rubric. Because I have used this template or replicated, because we saw that when we went to the states, we saw that as a teachers, they are not even aware about what are the competencies that requires to be there at the foundational level. What are the competencies that are required to be developed at the preparatory, middle, or secondary stage? So for each of these competencies, I have developed those templates.
Right. In fact, HPC is helping teachers implement the requirements of the
Exactly.
yeah. So I mean, it's an assistant only. It is not that it is adding to the workload. But yes, that mindset shift has to happen. Okay, next question. The parents have a question that my child needs marks for college admission. So again, loop back to the marks. So if a parent has a concern for that, what would be your answer to them?
Yeah, I think to the parents, I would, just say that let students develop the competencies, and the scores will come automatically. Once the child develops the competency, they will know better that, he can, he or she can, do anything.
Okay, next question. Fill in the blanks for us, please. Good assessment should make a student feel dash.
Good assessment should make a student feel confident.
Wonderful. And
Yes,
that's a key to success.
yes, of course.
Next question. One Indian state which is doing something very innovative and which the other states can follow. An example, please.
Rajasthan.
Okay.
And Rajasthan, they have a very strong community linkage. They have something called Bhamasa, and these Bhamasas, they donate directly to the schools, and it's an amazing system that is at place. You can always Google and find out. I have personally been to district in I've been to many districts, in Rajasthan, but one of the district which I went was Junchunu,
Mm-hmm.
and amazing work in the rural areas. Amazing.
So those kind of learnings and implementations
The
can be.
other states can easily, the community development. I keep stressing on that it takes a village to nurture a child.
So how is this these kind of learnings shared across states?
We give them a platform. We have regular interaction with the states, wherein the representative from the states come. Even the Ministry of Education, they organize national level conferences where the different states, they come in and they share their best practices. Yeah.
Yeah, so the other states can also pick up.
Exactly, yeah. And all these documents, the sharing of the best practices, if you go to the Ministry of Education website, or if you go to the Parak website, you will find the best practices.
So I
It's
think
in the public domain.
it's in the public domain and
That will be wonderful. Yes.
with our audiences.
The reports of the national workshop that has happened, it's also there in the Parak website, so you can use those too.
We'll do that. We'll do that. Next question. It is slightly tricky. Ma'am, PISA, should we join? Yes, no, and when?
Why should we have pizza at all? Let the world do Parak Sarvekshan. Because,
Hmm.
pizza assesses only 6 lakh students.
Hmm.
That is zero point 0.6 million. And Parak has assessed 2.1 million.
Right.
We have much more experience than PISA.
Hmm.
Second, PISA assess only 15-year-old child.
Hmm.
I will give the world a report card for their states, for the different countries, at the foundational, at the preparatory, and at the middle. So do a Parak Sarvekshan. I would tell all in the entire world. Rather, I am in conversation with some of the African countries, and also, other countries where I would like to take the best practice of our countries
So here there is something that India has to offer to the world in terms of.
to the world, of course. And please again promote this through your channel.
Definitely, we'll do that. And one key thing is that we are assessing at the foundational level, and then there are more chances to intervene and bring in positive improvements rather than waiting till.
Wonderful. This is something that we are, you know, telling them at a younger age what is it they need to do. So
Right.
if you see our district report card, we have at the foundational at the preparatory and at the middle, whereas PISA is doing only for the 15-year-old. So if you do a Padak survection, we'll tell you in detail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So go for it. When I present this Padak Rashtra Sarvekshan, I have presented in many conferences, international conferences abroad, and everybody has been amazed at our scale and the work that, because all the quality control standards, all the international standards, we are maintaining that in
Right.
our Padak Sarvekshan.
Despite having the
Despite the
great
scale,
diversity.
yes,
Yes. So that is from the
true, very true,
countries
true.
and
True,
from
true. I think I would like to go in for the holistic progress card, and of course, the latest that we are promoting and you will be able to access this in the social media handles also, is the Parak's taxonomy.
Mhm.
We have moved beyond the outdated old taxonomy that was being used. We have now our own taxonomy of awareness, sensitivity, and creativity, and wherein we have developed from the Indian knowledge system. It comes from the Panchkosh model, and again looking at the where the world is moving because of artificial intelligence. Our taxonomy, that Parak's taxonomy, is more relevant, is more meaningful, and entire world needs to go along with it.
I would request that we can have another session focused on this particular aspect so that we can discuss this in more detail.
Definitely, Kavleen, always chatting with you is a pleasure. So whenever you want.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And the whole conversation has been focused on the holistic development of a child, the core purpose of education. And with HPC and Parak, we are moving towards that. Thank you so much, Professor Bhaduri, here for sharing your insights and for the work that you are driving at Parak. And for our audiences who are listening here, we would request you to please study HPC in the light which Professor Bhaduri has shared. It is a mindset shift that you have to go from how you were assessed as a child. But yes, this is the need of the time now. And if this conversation resonated with you, please do consider subscribing so that we can continue to bring such conversations and do the work that we are doing. Thank you, Professor Bhaduri, again, and thank you, everybody else, for listening.
Thank you.